Hey everyone, welcome to the Canine Culture Podcast, where we talk about everything dog. Q&As with veterinarian professionals, rescue operators, everyday topics. We cover everything dog on this podcast. So make sure you subscribe to the Canine Culture Podcast on your favorite podcast platform, and make sure you're following us on social media on both Instagram and Facebook. Thanks again for listening. Now here's that next episode. All right, welcome everyone to episode 11 of the Canine Culture Podcast. This is your host, Brittany, and we have a special guest today. Her name is Taylor, and we will be talking about agility training, dock diving, and Frisbee. So welcome to the show, Taylor.
Hey there.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
My name is Taylor. I am from Ohio, and I have 4 cattle dogs that we do all kinds of sports with. We travel all over with them. We've been as far as Maine, Florida, pretty much all over the place with them doing dock diving for the most part. That's like our main sport. We got into that in 2018. First started off doing agility in 2016 with our first dog, and we just kind of blossomed down a huge rabbit hole that has now consumed our lives.
So is this like a full-time job for you?
Unfortunately, it is not. I still have a full-time job. As much as I would love to do this full-time, it is not.
Okay, gotcha. So tell us a little bit. I'm going to talk to you about each of these topics, but what exactly is agility training?
So agility is basically like a timed obstacle course. You will have tunnels, you'll have jumps, you will have what they called contacts. So contacts is kind of what I like to describe as like a balance beam in like gymnastics. It's like a foot-long beam that you go up it, and you kind of like level off at the top, and then you come back down. And then you have like an A-frame and a teeter. The A-frame is like a 3-foot wide, just like what it's actually like an A-frame, like 2 boards and an A. And then you have the teeter obstacle, which is just like a teeter-totter. They go off of it and they have to land it back down. So yeah, it's basically the fastest time to get through that wins. And also you can't knock any bars, or you can't knock any jumps, and you can't like have any faults, which means you can't like go off courses on any of that stuff. So
is every course pretty much the exact same?
No, there's all kinds of
okay.
different courses. There's all kinds of different venues. There is a lot of information on it. But basically pretty much every course is different every time you go.
Okay. Do you guys have a course set up at your house to practice at?
I used to. I don't have it anymore. We don't do agility as much as we used to. Dock diving and Frisbee kind of takes up all of our time now.
Okay. We're going to definitely talk about those too, because I'm actually even less familiar with those topics.
Okay.
I've actually seen, I don't know if you've seen that viral video lately. It's a little Pomeranian doing the agility training. I, I, I know it's not usually done by Pomeranians, but it was super cute. And I have 3 Pomeranians, so I've watched that video like 30 times.
They are actually so good at agility, and even Papillons are like crazy good. I heard someone the other day say that Border Collies are like the main dogs that do agility, but Papillons are just as fast. The only reason that they get a slower time is because they're so light that it takes them longer for the teeter to drop, because they don't have enough body weight for the teeter to drop. So they lose like a couple seconds there. So I thought that was really interesting.
Are there weight classes?
There's not weight classes, but there is height classes. Like, so you'll have like 4-inch dogs, 8-inch, 12, 16, 20, and then 24 is the highest.
Okay. So Border Collies, that's kind of the one I kind of thought of the most as well. So Border Collies, you said Papillons are good. What are some other breeds that you normally see in agility training?
Mostly it's Border Collies, Aussies, for like your bigger dogs. A lot of like Malinois, German Shepherds, cattle dogs, which I have. Honestly, there is every breed that you can imagine. I've seen do it. I've seen Great Danes do it. I've seen Mastiffs
Oh, wow.
do it. I've seen all kinds, and there is a ton of little dogs that do it too. Chihuahuas, Pomeranians, Papillons, you name it. I've seen it. It can't.
That's awesome. Yeah. At what age do most dogs start training, like for agility training? Do they have to start as puppies or can they start at any age?
They can honestly start at any age. I would say it's probably best to start them as a puppy. You can do what they call like flat work, which is basically just like your foundation exercises, like learning like little baby jumps, stuff like that, like learning different exercises. Is as young as 8 weeks. I didn't start any of my dogs until later on, probably closer to a year for all of them, just because I didn't know about it until then. So you don't have to start at that young. It's just kind of, if you have a puppy at 8 weeks old and you're interested in it, then I would definitely recommend doing it. But you can definitely still do it with an older dog for sure.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense when they're younger because as they get older, they get different joint problems, hip,
Yeah.
knee, back, all
Yeah.
of the above.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So, but at the same time, I would assume, well, this could be twofold. Kind of goes into our next questions here. The pros and cons of agility training. I mean, I think a pro might be keeping them kind of young and keeping them moving, but then a con might be it's hard on their joints. So, what, I guess, benefits and then what, negatives have you seen with your dogs, if
I would
any?
say like pros of agility training. I do it mostly with my oldest dog, Nellie. She is 5, about to be 6, so we've been doing it for a couple years now. Whenever we got her, she was a rescue, and she was like super like timid, afraid of environments. I never dreamed that she would be a good agility dog as she is, but it actually gives her like a lot of confidence. So like dogs are more like toy drive or food drive. She is all food drive, doesn't care about toys. She will do anything for food. So she learned slowly that, we would do like a couple obstacles, but at the end of like a sequence or the end of like, a run, she would get cookies. Well, she would that means that she would fly as fast as she could through the course. And at the end, she's like, oh my gosh, you get cookies there. And like slowly, like as we kept doing it after year, she was like, I get cookies now. I'm not scared anymore. She was like less like reactive around people and dogs and stuff like that. So we have seen like a huge turnaround in her because of it.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, I'm food driven too. So that's why I do
Exactly.
bodybuilding because I know there's a pizza waiting for me on a cheat day.
Yes.
Have you guys seen any cons, any negatives? I mean, assuming with the owner, one negative might be the cost, right? Like the cost of going to competitions and stuff.
Yes. And not only the cost of that, but the cost of all the supplies that you need, the cost of, putting like courses in your backyard like we used to do here. And then the cost of traveling too. A lot of times people don't have places that are close to them to go to. I'm lucky enough where I am at. I have like a 3 or 4 places like within, reasonable distance within an hour that we can go to. But a lot of people have to drive like 3 or 4 hours to get to places. So, with gas prices, that can be pretty rough right now. And then as far as like injuries go, they are unfortunately common. Agility is a very high impact sport, especially when you have a crazy driven dog that, like one like mine, he doesn't do agility anymore because he mentally could not handle it. He would just get too crazy. He would jump off the obstacles and it just wasn't for him. So that's why we do dock diving and Frisbee now with him.
Okay. Um, and you mentioned there's several places that you can go. Are there different levels? Like, do you have like a regional show and then you can go to nationals, or how does that work? Is there like a classification like that?
Yeah, so like I said before, it just kind of depends what venue you do. There's AKC agility, there's CPE agility, there's USDAA agility, which I'm not too familiar with. We do CPE and AKC agility. So I know with CPE, you have to get a certain number of qualifications, which means you have to qualify in a certain number of classes per year, for January to December. And as long as you make that, that cutoff, you get to go to nationals. And then I believe that AKC is very similar to that. You have to have a certain number of qualifications to go to nationals.
And then do you have to pay like a membership fee to each organization in addition to competition fees?
Yes, I know with CPE, you just have to pay for your original number. Um, so whenever you go to sign up for classes, you have a number and you tell them your number, which that's fairly cheap. It's like, like $20 to $30. That's just a
Oh, that's
one-time
not
fee.
bad.
So it's not bad. No, nope.
So if someone's interested in getting started, where would you recommend that they go or what should they do? And when I think about Jacksonville, we are such a big city, but I don't actually know where anyone here would go. We did have one dog park and they had like a separate little like agility section. No one ever used it. I don't even know if it's still there. But aside from that, I actually don't even know of anywhere. So what would you recommend? I mean, I'm sure people have to do research, but aside from that, any recommendations on like getting started?
So honestly, Facebook is like the way to go with like all of this stuff. Or you could contact like a dog training place near you and be like, hey, do you recommend like agility training? Do you know anyone that like does agility training in our area? I do know that there is a Frisbee league in Jacksonville. But other than that, I don't know anyone down there that does agility. I do know there's dock diving and Frisbee down there, but I would assume that there would have to be something, in that
Hmm.
area. But the best thing is to find a, dog group on Facebook and ask around in there. Like I'm a member of the CPE agility group on Facebook. So if someone wants to, find an agility place near them or even like a place that offers trials and stuff like that, I would add the CPE agility group on, I think that's what it's called, on Facebook.
Hmm.
And ask in there and just say, hey, look, I want to get started in agility, and everyone's super nice. They'll point you in the right direction for sure. There's people from all over the country in that group.
Okay. Yeah. And what are some indications that your dog might be good for agility training? So, one of our Pomeranians, he actually turned 12 today. When he was a puppy, everyone said he should do agility training. He should do agility training. We were in college. We didn't really do anything with it. We now have a rescue that he's about 2.5 years old. He's wild. He gets the zoomies 6 times a day. He's insane. So on one end of the spectrum, I'm like, he might be really great for agility training. He has all this energy and he could focus it somewhere. But then he gets very distracted. He's very ADHD. I could see him jumping off of things. So, what are some like qualities that you think are good to get your dog started in agility or to at least try it out?
Uh-huh. Um, like I said, so I'm using her as our example since she was our first one. She was like a wild little spunky puppy, and I'm like, and we were at this obedience place doing obedience training with her for like a couple sessions, and then our trainer was like, hey, she has cattle dog in her, so you should try to do agility with her so she can like redirect some of her energy. And I'm like, I don't know, because she doesn't really like toys. A
Hmm.
lot of people, a lot of of like the high, like, I don't well, a lot of people that do agility like way more than I do. They have dogs that, they're way more toy driven than she was. So, and I knew she didn't like toys. So I'm like, I'm not sure how we're gonna get her to do it. And then we realized that she would literally do anything for food. Um, so that's how we got her to do it. But for the if you notice that your dog will, is super food driven or is super into toys, you can pretty much get them to do agility. It might take a little bit longer if they, aren't into either of those things, but it can be done for sure. As long as your
Okay.
dog, is like will like chase after a toy, or, you know, if they'll like run towards a plate of food, like over a jump, like you can pretty much do it.
That's all three of my dogs. My two seniors are very food motivated, like
Uh-huh.
to the point where every time you go to the door, they think they're going to Starbucks to get a pup cup or Chick-fil-A to get grilled nuggets. Our newest rescue, he likes food, but he's not as into it, but he's super into toys. Um,
Uh-huh.
so I mean that's good to know. I think most people think the toy side of things, but food is also
Yes,
a huge
absolutely.
motivator.
Absolutely. Yep.
So so let's talk about dock diving.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit I mean, we've all seen pictures, we've seen videos, but explain dock diving a little bit to me.
So dock diving, the way that it works is you have typically a 40-foot long pool, or it goes up to 60 feet long pools, and you have a 40-foot dock. So basically it is the farthest that your dog can jump off the dock into the pool. They measure where your dog hits the water. Different venues measure different distances. The venue that I'm in is called North American Diving Dogs, or NAD, and they measure from the base of the tail. So wherever his tail hits the water, that's where our distance is. And then there's another venue called Dock Dogs, and they actually measure from where the head hits the water. So it just kind of depends what venue. They're just like agility. There's tons of different venues out there. And basically you are scored into like different categories. I know with the organization that I'm in, NAD, it's 0 to 10 feet is a category, and then 11 to 15 is a category, and then 15 to 20, and then so on. It's funny because the sport has gotten so big since I started in 2018 that it started off where our national event was in Orlando every year, and we only had 2 pools, and now they have to split it up where there's like, I want to say like 8 regional events across the country with like 2 or 3 different pools at them. And then only a select amount of people get to go to nationals now because it has just blown up. There's so many people, like it's probably like 10 times the amount that it was in like 2018 or 2017, whenever we started. So it is definitely my passion. It is my favorite sport out of all the ones that we do with the dogs. We pretty much any, like just like the sports that I said before, any dog can do this. I've seen Chihuahuas do it. I've seen Pomeranians do it and do really good. I have seen Great Danes do it, and they jump like 25 feet, which is insanely far for a Dane. I've seen St. Bernards. As long as you can get your dog into water, you can participate. I mean, just because your dog only jumps like 5 feet off the dock, that's perfectly fine because there's a category for it. You can be the top of your division, and only jump like a short distance.
So kind of a crazy question real quick. Do you guys, and this is really showing my ignorance on the topic, do you guys throw something in the water for them to get?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I should have said that. Yes. So,
okay.
I have my 2 dogs do it. My 2 boys, dock dive. My girls will not go in the water. They refuse.
Mm-hmm.
But my boys go. And then, I have like a rubber bumper for my oldest male. And then for my youngest one, he's just a puppy. He's only 10 months old. And I just use a wubba actually. Anything that floats you can use. So, wubbas, bumpers, chuck it frisbees. A lot of people use those because they float pretty much I've seen people use like this is just coming to my mind. Someone throws a crab for their dog and they absolutely love it. It's just like this little floatable crab and the dog goes nuts for it. So yeah, pretty much any toy that you think that they will, go in after the water and it won't sink to the bottom, you can use.
And do you have to practice very often?
You don't have to. I do. It is kind of like a science if you want your dog to, jump like really far. Like I know with my male, I have to set him up on the dock so his striding is absolutely perfect so that he leaves the dock at the very end to get maximum distance. Because you don't want them to leave like 2 or 3 feet early, because that takes off 2 or 3 feet of your distance. So I have to set him up at 27 feet on the dot to know his striding is perfectly right for him to leave at the very end of the dock so we get maximum distance. So we do practice a lot because of that. But like I said, it consumes most of my life. So I do take it very seriously. But you don't have to. It's a really fun, laid back sport to just, go have fun with your dogs.
And do you guys win prizes? Like, I know you probably get like a medal. I see you have medal or ribbons and medals behind you.
Just a
Which that
couple.
looks really cool. I love that.
This room is
Did the
currently under
dogs get
construction right
anything
now.
else? Yeah.
Um, you basically just get ribbons. And then if you go to nationals, they have like trophies for you to win. One of those is from nationals in 2019. The big one is right there. So
Oh, okay.
whenever
That's awesome.
whenever we went down to Orlando, in 2019, he placed. My oldest did.
Oh, that's awesome. How old is he again?
He's 5.
Oh, okay. Okay. So do you think, when do you think he'll retire? Do you think he still has another 4 or 5 years in him?
I really hope so. But he is a wild boy and he has no self-preservation. So he gets injured quite a bit. But I hope that we have a couple more years in us. Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dogs that still dock dive at, 11, 12, 13 years old. They'd
Oh,
obviously
wow.
don't jump like they did whenever they were 5, but they do pretty good. The good thing about dock diving is it's a really like low impact sport. It doesn't really harm them, to like land in the water.
Hmm.
Running down the dock is the highest impact part of the sport. So
And then moving on to Frisbee. So I know the least amount about Frisbee. I literally just know what a Frisbee is, and that's all that I know. So tell us about Frisbee as like a sport.
okay, so I would honestly recommend Frisbee to like the beginnest of dog sports. If you know absolutely nothing about dog sports, I would go into Frisbee. It is the most laid back of the sports by far. Um, it is also the cheapest. It's only like $15 to $20 per 5 weeks. So that is like nothing compared to the other costs of the sports.
Hmm.
So if your dog decides not to do it, then you're not really out any money or any time. Basically, the way that I play in a league called Canine Toss and Fetch. Basically, it's kind of like a diamond shaped field. And you have 0 to 10 yards, 10 to 20, all the way up to 50 yards. And it goes off the pointage. They have these new rounds now, they're 90 seconds long. But before that, you have 60 seconds to throw as many throws as you can. So obviously highest points that you earn win. Um, but the good thing about it is we have beginners like all the time. And it is so cool to see everyone come out, playing with their dogs, and you can start as early as 8 weeks old with what's called rollers. So basically, instead of throwing the frisbee, you kind of like roll the frisbee like on its side, so it just kind of like rolls.
Hmm.
And you can actually play in league and score points doing that. A lot of people do it. I still do it with my puppy, because he's still only 10 months old. So we just do rollers for right now. Um, and as long as your dog chases a toy, they are going to want to catch a roller. There's all different kinds of like sizes of frisbees too. You can get like tiny little puppy frisbees that kind of like fit in the palm of your hand for like the little guys.
Hmm.
And then you can get like obviously like a bigger standard size frisbee. Um, but yeah, that is frisbee, and I would definitely recommend it to any beginner. You can just pretty much show up. If you go to Canine Frisbee Toss and Fetch, they have a Facebook page and they have a actual website. You can type in your location and all of the Frisbee clubs near you will pop up, and it gives you contact information for them too. So you
Okay.
can you can just go and talk to them and join.
Okay. Yeah, our dogs have never, they love toys, but they're not interested in frisbees. Like I've tried to throw frisbees in the yard, and the issue might be that I have regular size frisbees and my dogs are small. So they probably need like little teeny tiny ones or something. I don't know, but they are not interested at all in frisbees for whatever reason.
I can send you like a video. Like I know I probably did a bad idea of explaining what a roller was. I can send you a video of like what a roller is for frisbee. Um, and it really does help them to kind of like at least build drive for a frisbee before you start throwing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. It's like training wheels on your bike, and then once they've progressed with that, you get to take the training wheels off. Yeah. So when is your next either like Frisbee or dock diving event?
We just finished our round of Frisbee up on Sunday, actually. So we'll start up Frisbee again. I think Easter weekend it starts up. And then not this weekend, but next weekend we'll be in near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for a dock diving event all weekend.
Oh, awesome. Well,
Yeah,
good luck.
thank you.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me today about all of the things that I didn't know. And I'm sure a lot of people need information on because, like I said, in Jacksonville, I mean, we're such a big city, but the dog community I'm in, you don't hear much about agility training, dock diving, Frisbee, but it's such a great way to interact with your dog, just be able to play and hang out rather than just the traditional, throwing a toy in the house or giving them a stuffed animal.
Yep, and it's so nice to meet other crazy dog people that are just like you.
I need to go to these events. I need to meet
Yeah,
more crazy people like me.
it's awesome.
All right. Well, I will let you go. But thank you so, so much. And if you will send me a picture of that back wall, I want to post a photo of that. And then send a video of anything that you have, from the little baby Frisbees to the regular to the dock diving. Any videos you have, please send them.
All right, I will do. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in to the Canine Culture Podcast. Please make sure you subscribe to the Canine Culture Podcast on your favorite podcast platform and make sure you're following us on social media. If you have any recommendations, any topics that you'd like to hear, if you know of any guests that would be good for the show, or if you yourself want to be a guest, please reach out to us. Send us an email at canineculturepodcast@gmail.com or send us a direct message on social media. Thank you for listening, and please share this with any of your dog-loving friends.